For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 10 worst eyeshadow palettes of 2023. TBH, not a bad year this year. Even like the bottom 10, I can mess around with them. I think I tried 85 palettes, though I'm not entirely sure. It could be 86. I miscounted at some point. 85, 86, whatever. These are the bottom 10. If you missed it, yesterday, unless something weird happened, but yesterday I posted my rankings of my 85 eyeshadow palettes, but I was being annoying and I did not share my bottom 10 or my top 10. So today we're working on the bottom 10. Tomorrow, unless something weird happens, I will be posting the top 10, but these ones did not float my boat. Now, do keep in mind, obviously, this is just my opinion. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down below on some of these palettes, because I know my bottom two of the entire year, some of you guys are going to be fighting for your life for these. They don't do it for me, and they never will. So let's get into it. Starting off, we're going to do, let's just 85. That's the number we're going to stick with. The very worst palette that I tried this year. I'm scared to show you because people were already talking to me, telling me I was wrong. But this is the Haus Labs Eye Library Eyeshadow Palette in the shade Volume 2, and I was honestly so stoked about this palette, but hear me out. First things first, this is a 6-pan eyeshadow for $50. You know I'm willing to shell out the money for that. You know, I've bought much worse value products. However, I don't view Haus Labs as an eyeshadow palette brand. They hadn't come out with any previously, not their fault, but it's very ballsy to come out with a $50 6-pan eyeshadow. The way I shoved these in my cart, because they swatched beautifully in store, and then I got to the register and she was like $100. I was like, what? Okay, so then I was like, they felt super buttery in store. They better apply great on my eyes. And like with the swatches, ooh, these will have you fooled. But the way that these wear, atrocious for me. So let me just start off here. You have these satiny mattes right here. These mattes barely show up on my skin tone. You can't even really build them up either. They're very slick. They do blend out great, but they blend out great because they're so light on the eyes. What you see here is not how it translated on my eyelids. You can see my review. It's super duper light. Even the shimmers here, which swatch like a dream, they have me fooled. When I apply them to the eyes, it's instant dullness. And then as the day goes on, the color fades more and more. The translation's not there. It's dull and plain on my eyelid, and then it's much more vibrant in the pan here, which also 84. This one is a little better, but still same complaints, is the eyeshadow volume number 1, which is more warm. Again, same thing with the mattes. So dull in the eye. These shimmers, a little bit better, but again, they don't wear well. They fade down. Now the argument, I do like to add the other side. A lot of you are saying, but this is great for mature eyelids. For $50 for 6 shadows, I'm not recommending Haus Labs for mature eyelids personally. I'd recommend you towards the new YSL eyeshadows. Tom Ford has a great formula. Dior has a formula that works very well on mature lids, and they're all circling around the same price point-ish as Haus Labs. They wear better, they apply better, in my opinion. I also think the shimmers here are too thick as well for a mature eyelid personally, and they don't adhere super great to the eyelid. So those are just my opinions on those two. Let's keep it moving to 83, which is, I wanted to like this because the colors in here are so incredible. I'm just not a fan of the formula of this Ace Beauty Beauté, I think it's Beauté, not Beauty. Get it right, Morgan. Palettopoly palette. It's actually a really fun concept. It comes with a game. Love it. And these colors, oh my gosh, they're so vibrant, so pretty. The swatches, so glimmery, shimmery. And I really do actually like the shimmers in here, but the mattes gave me a rough time. Now, I'm not an expert in applying makeup, but I can make my way around a palette, right? I've done a lot of looks. I do this for a living. I'm pretty good with making stuff work, and I can make this work, but patchy, hard to blend, sticks on one place that you place it down and you gotta like go like that in your Orma store the next day to get those mattes to blend out. So while I'm a fan of the shimmers in here, the mattes I have to be super duper careful with. And just not a fan of the formula, have avoided it at all costs. That being said, like the month that I was testing this, I used it a lot in my drawer and a lot of these shades came into handy, but there was the compromise of having to work with the shades. 82, I'm sorry, Odin's Eye. You know I love Odin's Eye. They have so many palettes in the top of my rankings, but this one, it didn't hit. This is from their new holiday collection, actually. It's their Hey Reindeer palette. The color story, for me, I found it a little difficult to come up with a look. It's just a lot of random colors, just based on how my mind works. A lot of the shimmers don't have base pigment to them, so it's just glitter, and I rub my finger really hard, and not much shows up, while a couple of the other shimmers are chunky. And then I noticed the mattes in here a little bit patchy as well. This is very out of character for Odin's Eye, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have a lot of palettes from Odin's Eye. Actually, I don't have any palettes from Odin's Eye that I've ever said a bad word about. So this one, something just really seemed off about this palette. I'm not a fan of the looks I got with this palette. So yeah, that's where that's ranking. Okay, from this point on, I would say the palette's pretty workable. Some inconveniences here, but we have this one right here, 83, 81, just kidding. This is the Essence Dancing Green Eyeshadow palette. I used this semi-recently. I'm not gonna lie, I got a look that like slayed with this palette, but it was not without effort. Let me put it that way. One of the things though that could justify this is these are dirt cheap eyeshadows. They're like $4, and if you can get a look that looked like the look that I did for $4, it's pretty impressive. That doesn't take away from the fact that I don't love these shadows. These mattes are so difficult to blend. Oh my goodness, the way I had to keep packing and blending. It's not only difficult to blend where it gets stuck, but it also blends away so fast at the same time, which is really odd. And then the shimmers, if you do not apply the shimmers wet, they are dull. So it's disappointing, but for $4, maybe you could convince yourself that wetting your brush is worth it, because then it actually does stick to the eyelid and you do have some impact on the eye. But lots of adjustments had to be made to get a decent look out of this. Some people love these shadows. It has to do with the fact they're only $4, so you can't beat that. But the quality, not a fan. 80. I feel bad putting this here, but I just didn't like the formula. Simple as that. But I got like some really gorgeous looks with this. This is from Lawless. This is the one palette for their lavender collection. I love these tones, but these tones, they can be difficult to formulate, and I really do feel like Lawless struggled to formulate that. Now, I know they have a lot of other palette colors. I haven't tried those, so I don't want this to be broad for the Lawless formula. This is just on the lavender palette because lavenders, I think, are very difficult to formulate. The shimmers were The mattes, I had to keep layering and layering and layering to get the effect that I want, which is a shame because the tones of these are beautiful. Like I said, I can make a lot of eyeshadows work. I definitely got this one to work for me, and I love the looks that it created because the colors are just stunning. But I'm not gonna lie about my experience applying these, which was not great. 79. Honestly, it's a good palette. I just think there's too many redundant shades, and it's ColourPop. So this is the Flirty Talk palette from their Valentine's Day collection. Love. I mean, I actually really like the colors in this palette. It's just there's so many redundancies in the shades. They look the same on my eyelid. And I'm a fan of the ColourPop formula, especially for the price point. But in the grand scheme of things, is ColourPop's formula a top contender of best formulas in the world? No, but for the price point, I think they're really, really nice. But still not amazing, if that makes sense. Anyways, just too many similar shades. That's it. Not a bad palette. Same thing goes with this ColourPop and Naruto palette. Fine quality, except none of these shades look similar on the eyes. I just don't like this color story, so I didn't reach for it really at all. The shades are too different from one another. It's very, very easy to get a muddy look if you go horizontally for your eye look. It's better to go vertically to get something a little bit more cohesive here, something that's not going to get muddy or patchy. But again, actually this is pretty good quality for ColourPop. The main thing here is I don't like the color story, so that is completely personal. But like I said, you guys, this might be my bottom 10, but there were not a lot of bad eyeshadows that launched. So as we get towards the top part of this, they're not that bad for real. 77 is this one from Glossier. This is the Monochromes palette in the shade Heather. I find these palettes from Glossier, like, they're fine. I'm not gonna say they're bad quality, but they do always, something's always missing when I apply these to my eyes. Like, sometimes they can look a little dull. Sometimes I want to grab into another palette for another shade because my makeup looks undone and incomplete. This particular shade, honestly, it's fine. I just didn't really want to reach for it. I wasn't super into the color on me. The feel of these shadows is really beautiful. When you swatch them in store, they're really beautiful. They ranked towards the bottom, but they are not bad palettes. But I just always feel like my makeup is incomplete when I stick within one of the trios and only one of the trios. So I'm not as inclined to reach for them, but the quality's pretty, it's fine. It's like buttery. And then 85, 84, 83, 82, 81, 80, 79, 78, 77. The last palette that I have in today's video. Pretty quick, right? The best palette in this video. Which is kind of embarrassing, but whatevs. This is the Natasha Denona Love Face palette. I know, Natasha. This was that random launch that launched on a random website pretty prematurely. And then I think Natasha might have gotten upset about that and just like launched it without really letting anybody know. But to be honest, it wasn't that good of a palette anyways. There's a lot of wasted space here. This blush, so unflattering. Dried out too. I'm not gonna lie, the eyeshadows, they're very, very pretty. And this is an eyeshadow palette ranking. But this is just not good for Natasha Denona. And I put Natasha Denona's palettes in such high regard that this one didn't meet those requirements. So instantly, because of my biases and expectations for the brand, shot it down low because it wasn't anywhere close to meeting those. I don't recommend this. I feel like this is not super flattering. The eyeshadow's very pretty, I'm not gonna lie, but not impressed enough with this palette as a whole. You can get it to work. Like, the eyeshadow's a really good quality. I didn't like it, and I think that's enough explanation. So there we go. Those are the worst 10 eyeshadow palettes that I tried in 2023. I know, a little bit spicy. Obviously, it's all in good fun and for entertainment. If you love these palettes, have at it. I'm super happy for you that they worked out for you. That's the beauty of makeup and makeup reviews. Everybody's opinions on these are different, and mine is not the end-all be-all. But like I said, this year, most of these shadows are still good anyways. I feel like brands are figuring out how to get a good eyeshadow formula. I really, really do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Make sure you check out the last video I posted of the main body of the palettes that I tried if you want to see how those rank. And then make sure you're subscribed to my channel because I will be uploading the best eyeshadow palettes of 2023 tomorrow, if not the next day after that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one. Oh, and these will be linked down below, not because I want you to buy them. I just always link palettes for Jose to edit so he can go to the palettes and screenshot. If you want to check them out, they'll be linked down below. But more importantly, what I'm wearing will be linked down below, which is makeup that I like. So, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye guys, have a good one.